Welcome to Annex's tutorial on how to run a meeting, Part 2. In this video, we'll be recapping how to run a meeting, Part 1, discussing best practices, and giving solutions to common meeting problems. We learned in the last tutorial what to do before, during, and after a meeting. Be sure to find this tutorial on the Annex channel homepage. As we know, the most common form of communication between coworkers is through email. However, meetings still play an important role when discussing matters with multiple people. To ensure a meeting is prompt and efficient, following best practices and solving issues that may arise in a meeting are vital. Best practices: clarifying aims and purposes. Meeting aims or purposes should be at the top of every agenda. These are the key decisions that must be made or actions that must occur at the meeting. Creating an actionable agenda. To help ensure that all important issues are addressed, the agenda should be created with input of members. Some groups spend time at the end of a meeting planning the next agenda. Some groups send a call for agenda items via mail or email from the chair. Each item on the agenda should begin with an action word. These items should frame the expectations of the attendees. Some common action words include decide, discuss, review, select, or anything ending in "inish." Allotting time for topics. The meeting agenda should allot specific amounts of time for each item. If no times are specified, then everything on the agenda appears to be of equal importance. An unfortunate consequence is that too much time will be spent on the least important items. Getting started on time. Get into the practice of consistently starting each meeting on time. Leaders who wait to start meetings until more people arrive usually end up wasting a lot of professional time, which adds up over the course of the year. Here are a few strategies that can help get your meeting started on time. Set a stopwatch to go off at the time the meeting is to start. Some groups schedule 15 minutes of time to socialize before the start of the meeting. Ending on time. Well-planned and organized meetings normally end on time. However, if most of your meetings tend to run over, it's important to understand why. Some reasons might include the meeting time has not been managed well throughout the meeting, priority items were not dealt with first, the group went off topic too many times, meeting planners underestimated deliberation time required, too many items were planned for the time available, the group has a history of going beyond its stated adjournment time. Here are a few strategies that can help you end your meetings on time. Start the meeting on time. It's a lot easier to end on time if the meeting begins on time. Appoint a timekeeper to help you. If you are the leader and wish to extend a meeting another 15 minutes to half an hour, ask the committee or group if they are willing to remain to finish the task at hand. In planning a meeting, make sure it has a stated end time. Agree on ground rules. Ground rules are agreements about expected behavior in meetings. The purpose of ground rules is to make explicit the group's norms about how team members will interact, thus preventing or reducing misunderstandings and disagreements. Some common ground rules are: turn off cell phones, treat other members with respect even in the face of disagreement, send a substitute if you cannot attend, bring a handout when you are making a proposal for action, arrive on time, and voting terms. Assigning key meeting roles. Make sure these roles are assigned prior to a meeting. The leader convenes the meeting and takes responsibility for communication before and after. The leader may lead discussion on all items or may ask others, including a facilitator, to lead all or parts of the meeting. The facilitator keeps the discussion and decision-making process moving along. The facilitator takes responsibility for the process, but should not be involved in the content of the meeting. A facilitator is especially useful if the leader holds a very strong opinion on an agenda item. The recorder takes notes on paper, laptop, or on flip charts. Meeting notes should be distributed as soon after the meeting as possible. The longer the lag, the less confidence the members have that their investment will result in action. For groups that meet regularly, the recorder is responsible for keeping previous meeting notes and agendas in one place where they can be referenced later, such as through a shared network drive. The timekeeper reminds the leader when time is almost up for a given item. A stopwatch or small clock is invaluable. At Annex, Morgan Lackey, seen here, is assigned all of these roles at all team member meetings. Creating a visual record. A visual record is an outline of key discussion items or alternative solutions which are placed on a flip chart or projected from a laptop for all to see. This visual representation helps people remember what has been posed and enables the group's attention to focus on the items rather than the person who suggested them. The visual record also discourages rehashing. Evaluating your meeting periodically. Since meetings consume so much of our time, it's worth trying to improve them. Evaluating how meetings are going, discussing results together, and making improvements are a powerful way to use people's time wisely and respectfully. Evaluation can be some informal questions such as, are we starting on time? Ending on time? Are we staying on topic? Are all our members participating in discussions and decision making? Are we addressing the most important issues in our meetings? Do we follow through on our decisions? Common meeting problems. Finishing on time. Meetings often run overtime, and consequently many agenda items don't get adequate coverage or don't even get covered at all. Some solutions include designated timekeeper to watch the clock and let participants know when time for an item is almost up, and then when it is really up. Place topics that require more discussion at the very beginning of the agenda. Start your meeting promptly on time. Can't make decisions. Some meetings seem to drag on as group members struggle to reach consensus and make decisions. The responsibility for coming to decisions rests squarely with the leader. Some solutions include create expectations with actionable agenda items that clearly convey what is expected. Use prioritizing tools. When participants seem totally blocked and unable to break through an impasse, go back to the initial question or purpose of the activity and restate it. Ask which alternatives are supported by data. Dominant participants. Dominant participants often stifle collaborative problem solving and creativity among participants, but they often have good ideas that deserve consideration. Good leaders need to direct the energies of dominant participants in a non-threatening way so that others have opportunities to contribute. Silent participants. People are quiet in meetings for different reasons. Some people are fearful that their opinions will be ridiculed and dismissed. Some are not comfortable speaking if they don't know for sure who everyone is. Some don't care. Some solutions include ask people to create name tags for themselves. We often assume that everyone knows who the other members or participants are, and it is often not so. Ask a question early in the meeting that most people can respond to, and go round robin asking for responses. Give people 5 minutes to write down their ideas or thoughts in a silent brainstorm before opening the general discussion. Break into small groups or pairs to discuss aspects of an issue before opening the general discussion. Be sure the questions or issue to be discussed is clear. Ask the groups what they came up with. For continually quiet participants, the leader may discuss with the individual in private the importance of everyone's ideas, saying something like, I notice you haven't said much about the move, but I'd like to hear what you think about it. Then encourage the person to share those thoughts within the meeting. You can prompt a response at the next meeting by saying, Leslie has an interesting idea for expediting the move. Will you explain it, Leslie? Rehashing decisions. Issues that were discussed and decided on in previous meetings sometimes re-emerge to be rehashed. For groups that meet regularly, someone is responsible for keeping meeting notes, agendas, and supporting documents in one place where they can be referenced later. Ideally, these past decisions should be available during the meeting as a reference. Deal with small fires, but no larger fires. Meetings are often used to deal with immediate problems. When meetings focus only on immediate, urgent issues, larger and more global issues may be ignored. To ensure that larger issues are not ignored, consider some of these strategies for structuring your meetings. At the start of the year, decide which meetings will be devoted to which larger issues or topics. The larger issue is on the agenda first, followed by other business. When composing the meeting agenda, make sure you include at least one item for discussion that focuses on something strategically important, but not urgent. Key persons don't attend. When key staff don't attend meetings, decisions may be made that are later questioned or not implemented as hoped. Without some regular interaction, office and department members become isolated, making collaboration and cooperation more difficult. As a leader, you can help ensure that key players attend meetings and provide input when needed. Some strategies you can employ to encourage key persons to attend meetings include these. Diagnose the problem by understanding why people aren't attending. Ask a few of the non-attendees in an exploratory way rather than a threatening way why they don't come. You might say, "We've been missing your ideas at the meeting. Is it a bad time for you? Or are the meetings themselves the problem?" You also might say, "I'd like to have more members attend the personnel committee meetings. Do you have any thoughts on what I could do as a chair to boost attendance?" Make your meetings worth attending so that real work gets done. If the culture of the department or office has been that meetings are optional, it will require a statement from you, the leader, that you expect that meetings will be real work sessions and will be most productive if everyone attends. Lack of follow-through on tasks. The effectiveness of a meeting can be measured in terms of its outcomes. If people don't follow through on action plans, tasks, and decisions after the meeting ends, then one needs to question the value of having a meeting in the first place. The leader is the single most important factor in follow-through. It's your job to be clear at the end of every meeting who is responsible for what and by when. A leader can use these tools and techniques to achieve more effective follow-through after a meeting. Written action plans. People usually need to be able to see in writing what action is required of them and by when. Point persons ensure that a goal is moving forward. Check meetings or phone status check meetings should be set up when the action is first being planned. There is nothing like a deadline to stimulate action. In conclusion, we have discussed meeting best practices and solutions to common meeting problems. We hope that How to Run a Meeting Part 1 and 2 help you facilitate more improved meetings at your place of work.